Hey guys, how is everyone doing today? So, what happens? What happens during your first therapy session, your first counseling session? What takes place? I want you to hang on to your socks. I want you to be ready because shit's about to go down. I'm, I'm just kidding. I'm excited though. I love first sessions because I get to meet a new person, and I love meeting people. There's something beautiful and unique about it when you get to see a new face. You're like, I haven't seen you in this world, this place we call Earth, but I get to see you, and I appreciate that you're here. Let's share time. Time is such a beautiful thing because there's no monetary value to it. So enough about that. What happens in the first counseling session? I want to walk you through that process so you have an idea of it. During your first counseling session, what takes place is a lot of paperwork, which sucks. I'm sorry. But during the paperwork, what you see in there is paperwork that has to do with who you are. You're going to be asked your name, demographic information, level of education, maybe some cultural questions, questions about suicide, questions about abuse, questions about medication history, family history, questions about symptoms. And different counselors out there, they may go really deep into it. They'll ask you tons of questions. On mine, I'll ask you like a checklist of questions, stress, anxiety, problem sleeping, irregular appetite, changes in your mood, nightmares, distressful flashbacks, things like that. So I'm able to kind of get an idea of what's going on, prior to having that first conversation with you. Other documents that you're going to be signing is going to be confidentiality, privacy, knowing that there's consent in this, that you're here on a voluntary base, and that there's consent for treatment to be provided. There's going to be documents that have to do with payment, right? How are you going to pay for the sessions? Documents that have to do with payment if it's connected to insurance. And then there's documents on there that have to do with who the counselor is. In my case, who I am, where I studied, why I studied what I studied, my level of education, my years of experience. And then overall, in all of these documents, you're going to have a very clear picture of who your counselor is. You're also going to have a clear picture of what confidentiality means in a session. Knowing that everything stays within you and the counselor. There's some other codes in there or rules in there, but that's kind of like the big picture. And then after you sign all of that paperwork, we'll just kind of go back a little bit. Typically, you're signing all of that paperwork in two locations. And I'll give you an example of what happens here in my office at Santos Counseling. You're signing the paperwork in the office, and it's a lobby out there. And in the lobby, you've got snacks, you've got water, you got a TV, just so you're relaxing, you're at ease. Some nice calming music. I like to have a very laid back setting, just so you're chilling, you're relaxing, so that whenever we start our session, we're transitioning in a very effective manner. And then while you're out there, of course, you're filling out that paperwork. Depending on what office you go to, they may have a staff too that will give you those documents, kind of walk you through the process. If you come to my office, it's either one of the counselors that do that, or my wife could be out there and she's passing out the paperwork. Aside from that, we also have it where, and you can have it too, depending on what counselor you're working with, where they do it electronically. So it's where they send you everything electronically to make sure that you're filling all of that out, and then it's submitted back electronically. But overall, both kind of the same thing, right? Paperwork filled out. Now, after all that messy paperwork is completed, the counselor you're going to be working with, they review everything and make sure everything's cool. They'll probably collect some kind of payment card, and they'll collect your insurance card if you want to use insurance. That's pretty much the two key pieces of information that are going to be collected. Let me get a quick drink of coffee. I felt like my voice was kind of going off there, so my bad. Roll with the punches. Now, after the paperwork is all set and done, and you turned in your insurance information, you turned in your credit card information, what takes place after that is that you'll come into the counseling session. And you can kind of see in this video, this is my counseling office. You've got the chair over there, right? So I'm kind of see where I'm pointing that one. Yeah, you got that chair. That's where I sit. Unless you're coming into the office and you want to sit there, it's all good. But if not, that's where I'm sitting. And on the other side, the leather couch, that's where, if you're the patient, that's where you're sitting. And I've got these giant windows here that are amazing, awesome view, which I love. Park is right back there, Battleground Park, which if you live near here, it's an amazing park. And we then begin the first session. And this is how it kind of begins. During the first session, a lot of key pieces are taking place. There's an introduction taking place. Just like any kind of small talk, if you will. Hey, thank you for coming in. How is your day going? Something like that. Because again, it's just two humans getting to know each other. It doesn't have to be this odd process of, tell me your problems right away. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to, really break bread and get to know each other. In the counseling field, there's a word called rapport, building rapport. So what I want to do is I want to build a strong and healthy level of rapport with you where you feel that this is your space just as equal as it is my space. And then during the first session too, we build something called a treatment plan. Now, in a treatment plan, I want to give you a very simple view of what it is. Let's say you went to the YMCA or your local gym and you wanted to lose 10 pounds. You hire a personal trainer. You tell the personal trainer, I want to lose 10 pounds. The personal trainer then says, okay, cool. I'm going to make a plan of how we're going to do it. And the personal trainer is going to get some kind of paper, right? And they're going to write down all the exercises you're going to do, when you're going to do them, and then all these exercises that you're going to do and when you're going to do them. All of that has to do with the goal. I want to lose 10 pounds. That, my friends, is a treatment plan. It's very, very connected to what we do in the counseling office. Someone comes in and says, hey, we're having issues in our relationship. Or my anxiety, I can't control it. It causes me to be restless or on edge. I'm always thinking, I'm always feeling that something bad's going to happen. So the counselor you're working with, they're listening to all of that, and they're documenting, they're writing. That's why they're in that corner during your counseling session, writing a lot of stuff. They're writing all of that, and they're trying to develop the treatment plan because they want to be able to look at how do I treat you, how do I work with you. And it's something that is taught during education, so during their schooling or my schooling. So then in there, they're going to put like goals, if I want to be able to work on my marriage, what are the goals that we have? And they'll ask you those type of questions. And the counselor will come up with like interventions. Interventions are ways that we're going to address the goals. And all of that, my friends, is documented by the counselor. Sometimes counselors will tell you all of that. Sometimes they'll kind of just hit the points and kind of say, tell me a little bit about what's going on or what's your presenting concern, what issues are taking place, what life struggles are you having, something around that ballpark. And then that's that core nugget. The same thing like going to the personal trainer saying I want to lose 10 pounds. That's the core nugget. From there, it opens up into the goals, the strategies that we're going to use, the interventions that we're going to use, how often we're going to meet. We'll also talk about that. And then what's going to happen when you're not in the office. It's another conversation that takes place. And all of that takes place during the first session. We go into how often the counselor wants to meet you. That one there has a lot to do with what's going on. Typically, I'll give you an example for me. I like to meet my patients frequently and then kind of spread it out. But if something a little bit more severe is taking place, like let's say suicidal thoughts or intent, really difficult challenges in the relationship, then I'm going to want to meet more frequently so that we can really, jump on that issue as soon as possible, build strategies around it, and then kind of spread those sessions as we go. There's conversations during the first session that go into homework. I'm a huge homework fan because you've got like 1 hour in a counseling session. There's 24 hours in a day, not a great ratio. So, if you're a patient of mine, if you work with me, you know that there's always homework that we're doing, whether it's you're exercising, you're giving, therapeutic homework that's in here. I'm asking you to do quizzes online, things like that, just so that you are continuing to work on the big goals that you have in counseling outside of the session. And then when you come back, we follow up on them. So let's see, we covered a lot there, right? We're like at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. That's intense. We covered, a lot of components of what happens during the first session. One more thing that takes place during the first session is where we develop what's called I can't even think of the word now. It's almost like shopping, if you will. So whenever you're in that session, I still give the person I'm working with an opportunity to let me know what they think. And that's something that, at least from my end, I'm very open to. So I'll have a session with somebody and then I'll say, okay, we went through the major points. We saw the goals. We saw why you're here. And we have a plan for everything. And then we know how often we're going to be meeting. But tell me, do you feel comfortable in this space? Do you feel comfortable with me? Are you okay looking at this guy, looking at this beard? Because I really want to make sure that when you're sitting there and you're working with me, you feel at ease, you feel relaxed, you feel it's a safe place. So that may also take place during your session. And then once the session is complete, right, and usually a session will take 45 minutes to an hour. Once it's complete, then you're going to look at the checkout process, which is pretty much like any other medical office. You're booking your next appointment, whether it's there or if they have an online system. And then you're doing your co-payment or you're paying for your session. So that, my friends, wraps up your first session all the way from the beginning to the conclusion of it, before you schedule the follow-up. I hope that this was informative. I hope it kind of gives you an idea of what to expect during that first one. Now, remember, every counselor out there may freestyle it just a little bit, but the core nuggets that I shared with you highlights what most should be doing. Have an amazing day, and thank you for sharing space with me.